So I don't believe that you have any social obligations other than to leave your neighbor alone. That is not to infringe on his right to pursue his happiness. But I don't consider a relationship with a child or a relationship with your parents as social. They're your relationships. They're your obligations, if they are obligations. Now, I think there's a difference when you're talking about with a child or with a parent. And I'm going to say something controversial. And my son's in the room, which makes it even more complicated. I don't think children owe anything to their parents. I don't think children owe anything to their parents, except to the extent that they love them. If you love somebody, then that love determines your relationship with them. But you don't owe them anything for bringing you into this world. You didn't ask for it. There's no contract there, right? You are not obliged to your parents, other than, you know, you have to do what they tell you to do up until a certain age. And if they pay for your college and stuff, then I think you owe them something in gratitude for that. But if you don't love your parents, and I think there are plenty of people who don't love their parents. I think there's a biblical commandment that thou shalt whatever to your parents, but that's just a commandment. A lot of people, not most people, a lot of people don't love their parents because their parents didn't earn it. Their parents are not that good. They're not nice people. You shouldn't love people who are not nice. You're not automatically obliged to love anybody. Anybody. Everybody's love needs to be earned. So I don't think, so if you love your older parents and you feel, you know, part of your happiness is in helping them out when they're sick, then do it. Absolutely you should do it. But it has to be in the context of your happiness. If it's a sacrifice to help your elderly parents, you should not do it. It's your life. Your life is not theirs. You own your life, not your parents. So, you know, you should help your parents to the extent that it's part of your life. Now, I think most of us love our parents and want to help them and don't want to see them suffer. Most of us would help our parents, but I don't condemn somebody who doesn't, who says, you know what, I don't like my parents, and I'm not going to help them when they're old. Fine. I think that's perfectly, it's different with children. You brought them into the world. They are your responsibility. Even if you don't like them, even if you don't love them, you took on an obligation when you had them. You didn't have to have sex. You could have used birth control. You could still in this country have an abortion. Right? Once you chose to have the child, you have taken on a mountain of obligation. It's a mountain. Don't have kids if you're not willing to take it on. You don't sleep the first couple of years. They cost you, you know, I did the calculation once. It's an astronomical amount of money, particularly if you're going to pay for them for college. They're a huge, huge responsibility and burden. You should only do it if you really want to. But once you do it, you're locked in. It's like, you know, you sign a contract to buy a house. You bought it, right? You signed the contract. You might hate the house after you move in. You might regret doing it, but it's your house. With a child, you can't sell it. With a house, you can sell. So, but that's why having children is such a huge deal. Nobody should have children until they are committed to having children. Nobody should have children until they're sure that's what they want. That's why I think it's actually a healthy thing that Americans are having children later in life, because I think they're more mature and they realize what they're doing and they're taking on the obligation much more consciously versus 60, 70 years ago when people would get married in their late teens, early 20s and just have kids automatically and then suddenly realize, oh my God, you know, I've taken on this obligation without having the maturity, the wealth, or the thought that's involved in doing it. So I think it's a very different type of relationship. With children, you are obliged because you took on that responsibility, but you chose it. You can't say somebody forced me. With parents, you don't have that obligation, but it's certainly part of most of our lives because we do love our parents. I think you had a question, right?
I suppose my question's a similar sort of vibe. In terms of caring about other people or looking after, you say like the Mother Teresa example, if she generally got pleasure or satisfaction from helping other people was purely selfish, would that sort of go against what your example then?
No, if she'd actually got pleasure, that is, if she had sat down and said, you know, I love helping other people. It's like teaching, right? I can really help them become better human beings. I can help them rise up. And she would have enjoyed it? Absolutely. Being a social worker is not an irrational profession. You can be a social worker rationally. That's not what she did, by the way, right? She didn't help them become better. She helped them stay poor because she believed the poor should inherit the earth, right? The meek shall inherit the earth. So she discouraged them from getting an education. She discouraged them from trying to rise up and become middle class. I mean, I truly believe Mother Teresa was a horrible human being. I mean, I'm on record, on video, saying that because I think it's true. And she didn't pursue helping other people rationally in terms of her own values, in terms of and as a consequence, she was miserable. I mean, if you read the diary, she was even doubting the existence of God, and she didn't know why she was doing this. And I mean, it's very difficult when you commit yourself out of a sense of duty. And that's the difference. So I'm all for helping other people. I love people. I'm not going to help bad people. Hitler can come and I'll help shoot him. I'm not helping him, right? So you want to help people who you have identified as good or who are innocent, who have fallen on bad times for no fault of their own. I have a soft spot for children because I think they are innocent, right? To the extent that they're poor or whatever, it's not their fault. It's kind of, it's either their parents' fault or it's the way it is. So, but you don't want to just be random in your help. You don't want to help. So I'll help children, but I'm not going to help them at the expense of my kids. So my kids come first. Now, I don't buy this love the neighbor like yourself. Sorry. I mean, I love my neighbor. I don't love some of my neighbors. Some of my neighbors I hate. Some of my neighbors I like. None of them do I really love. And none of them come close to how much I love myself. And their kids, I mean, if there's a burning house, who am I going to save? My kids or their kids? I mean, who are you going to save? See, I'm going to do it and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to save my kids. You're going to save, some of you will save your kids and feel guilty about not having to save their kids because that's how you were brought up. I reject that. It's my life. I'm going to pursue my values. And I'm going to help people that I think deserve help and that I get something out of helping. Am I going to help strangers? Sure. If it doesn't cost me too much. But if somebody's drowning, people always give me the drowning example, right? If somebody drowning, do you jump in and help them? Well, it depends. It depends. Is it a ocean in which the probability of me dying is 99%? I'm not jumping in, sorry. Not my job. Now, if I was a lifeguard, it's my job, my responsibility, going back to I signed a contract, then I do it. It's not my job. Is the risk minor and it's just a matter of effort? Sure, human life is incredibly valuable and I would go and jump in and save them. But the fact is, and we all know this, that you're going to make a risk assessment of what's the cost. Every day, every American chooses not to help dying children, right? Because they're dying children in Africa and you could write a check. You could write a check, but you choose to let them die rather than give up whatever money it would take to write the check. And that's okay. That's actually good because your life comes first. And you shouldn't give up that nice meal. You shouldn't give up the college education. You should give up to help kids in Africa. And I'm saying it bluntly, even though all of you kind of feel a little bit uncomfortable with this, right? But it's the reality. We all do it all the time. We all make choices about ourselves. I'm saying stop feeling guilty for it. You don't owe that kid anything. I mean, it's sad, and I feel sad when I see it, but you don't owe it. It's not your fault, and you are not responsible. You're responsible for you. And that responsibility doesn't mean to be callous. It means to be thoughtful. It needs to be rational. It needs to be figured out what is really good for you. And kids that are close by are going to get more of my help than kids that are far away because they impact my life more because I'm being selfish. We have to cut. Lunch, food. Thank you.